Yo, what's up? It's Eazy. We with Ether Decor today, you know what I'm saying? I'm podcaster and artist manager from Boston. I moved out here 2 years ago, so interview myself. What's up, Eazy? I'm very honored to be interviewed by the GOAT interviewer himself, Ezekiel Jack, DJ Raxkills, you know what I'm saying? So, first question, how'd you get started doing podcasting and doing management? And well, it's low key. I was listening to Beats One Radio in high school. I was always into radio. So then when I went to college, I started listening to a lot of different underground radio shows. So I started my own on the internet at Emerson, and I really just wanted to interview a bunch of my friends. The original concept was I was trying to like goof them, but then I was working with Adamir and other rappers on campus, and I kind of realized that I could really use college resources to start making a difference, put Boston heads onto some of the venues and some of the studios that Emerson was using for their own students. I was like, let's get some of the people. I went to school in my hometown, so I was like, let me just get some of my like OG homies to get on that. And then that's kind of when I realized that like doing the podcast was just kind of like my doorway into that, and kind of getting people to kind of get one-on-one conversations, you know what I'm saying? Like getting that, because parties, there's like a lot going on, a lot of music, a lot of people. So it was just kind of like my way to kind of get people to kind of one-on-one talks, get them kind of hip to the mission, hip to what was going on. I was trying to do like music festival all the time with Adamir, and just kind of doing stuff like that. And then it just kind of went from there. And then when I moved to LA, I moved originally for film, and then I started doing music videos with the roommates. And then me and Adamir, we kind of realized that was kind of like I really felt like I could develop his sound into something more, and kind of really take it worldwide with this. So I kind of kept doing that, and the podcast just kind of helped with that. And it's really all people I really do feel like I'm a student to the game. It's kind of people who I fuck with, and so that was cool. Then it's trippy in it, talking to myself. It's definitely a different mode for sure. But where do you see yourself going in the future with it? Well, what I want to do next is really start doing shows. I want to do shows in LA. I want to do shows in Boston. I want to have law school. I want to have shows in Boston. I want to have shows in New York too. I really like grew up going to a lot of underground shows, and I was talking to the homie like the other day, and I was like, like when I'm like, if I ever get rich and famous, like when I do get rich and famous, I'd still be going to like see the homie at like smaller spots, small intimate spots. So it's definitely just like that's definitely like something I want to do for a long time. Is kind of interview smaller artists, do shows with smaller artists, maybe like do a tape, something like that. Just keep growing with it. I really want to take my shit to New York. That's definitely like the next step for sure. And as all great podcasters, I got notes here. Let me check the notes. Yeah. So how do you choose which guests going to be on which episode? How do you curate that whole thing? And it's a great question. I see myself as a curator. What I kind of do with it is I really just try to have on people, especially now, just have on people who you would least expect. Like people be like, oh, I didn't know he fucked with this person. I didn't know he fucked with that person, and kind of theme it. Like I try to theme it to like people who kind of go together. So it's like if you're trying to, because I'm a binger myself. So if you're like binging the episodes, like if you're listening to one episode and then you listen to another episode, it's like it kind of makes sense. And I try to record all the episodes in like clusters, so it's like if you listen to one episode, the next episode, it's probably like I'm probably talking about like similar stuff that I was talking about on the episode before. And a lot of people wonder why is it called fake radio? Why is it? And the reason is I was it was a radio show that was on the internet, so I called it fake radio because it wasn't like on the actual radio, so it was fake radio. And also I was transferring to a bigger school, so I kind of was like owning that like fake aspect of myself. I think like people like the idea of trying to like prove yourself to other people is kind of like a tired concept. So that's kind of where the fake idea came from. I want to get fake tatted on me low key when I'm older. So that's kind of that's kind of why it's called fake radio. But now it's strictly a podcast, so podcasting is technically like fake radio. So it's kind of, it makes sense. And when I'm like, oh, I have a podcast now, and they're like, oh, what's it called? It's like fake radio. It's like it's like people think it's funny, so it works in itself. And yeah, and then when it comes to music management with Admir, how I fell into that, and just music management in general, I say fall into it because I really fell into it. I kind of just, it was something I didn't realize I was good at until I was like doing it, and I was like, oh, this is just like something I'm kind of like feel like, it felt like I knew I was good at writing, I knew I was good at film stuff, I knew I had like a lot of kind of stuff that I knew I was good at. But when I started like doing management stuff and kind of working to develop artist sounds, because there's other artists I kind of worked with before Admir, and other artists I plan on working with after Admir, and I felt like that was the thing that kind of I felt at home doing. I felt the most comfortable doing it. It felt right. Like I really can't explain it other than that, but it felt right. It felt like after being a teenager and after kind of going to college, it kind of just was like the one of the big through lines that kind of it like not only was something I enjoyed. I'm a fan of all the people I have on the show, all the people who I've worked with. I'm just like I'm just honestly like a huge fan. Like my parents, my like homies, like I just talk about the artists all the time. Like those are just like the main people who I like listen to. But it just kind of like it felt natural, and it kind of just came out of nowhere. Like I knew that I was gonna kind of like ease my way into it, and then I just kind of a lot of the people who I kind of knew kind of left, and I kind of realized I had to do it by myself. And then I moved to LA and I didn't know anybody, so then I was like, oh, like if I'm really gonna do managing, I'm really gonna do it by myself, because most of the people who I knew out here were film people. So I was like, let me just teach myself. But I think that was a really good way to do it, because it really kind of forced me to think outside the box, really forced me to kind of like take it at my own pace and kind of make it like how I say, I always say this, like easy this, easy that, like really made it like an easy way of doing that, like kind of doing it my way, kind of doing it my style. So like when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to managing, I like there's people who I look up to on socials and people who I kind of grew up with, but I don't have any like direct like what's it called, mentors or anything. Like there's no one who I text for, like not like that. It's just kind of how do I want to do it my own way, and it's still a process. I'm definitely, like as I said, a student to everything, kind of learning how to do it. And I definitely want to grow. I want to manage more people than just Admir. I want to have more subset of shows outside of fake radio, and there's a lot of shows. When I started doing it, I really didn't listen to podcasts or watch shows at all, but now there's a lot of shows that really like inspire me to kind of keep going. After Decor, the show I'm on right now, for sure is one of them. But also like Boston shows like Bad for the Community, and smaller shows too, like Malik Talking, shout out to that show. They really kind of, I listen to them all the time, and I really I'm like, oh, like fake radio, I see myself as one. And like when I try to like put people onto artists, like I could put them onto like songs. Like I used to put people on like, oh, listen to this song. But I think like for someone to really like kind of have a lasting fan base, like a lasting like fandom with the artist, it's really clutch to like when you're first discovering artists to like hear an interview with them. Like a lot of the artists who I like discover on Spotify, discover like whatever, I check out interviews they have after, because it's like it really just gives me a sense of like who they are and their goals. So, and when I like try, because I'm from Boston, so I try to put people onto like Boston artists, I always like send them like interviews they've done, because it really just kind of shows their character. Especially Boston artists, a lot of like smaller things, so they're really trying to like get the message out there. And that's another future goal I have, is to really just interview more Boston artists, that's just it's where I grew up. It really is just in my blood. So it's like, because as much as I listen to artists, I hear like half of the artists I listen to are underground Boston artists too. So it's like I really want to. I just have questions for them, low key. I just have stuff I want to talk about. Let me check my notes, Ezekiel. I know you're patient. Let me check my notes. Let me check how career highlights. One of the things that I really do love about being a manager and being a podcaster are just the highlights are the highest I've had. I think a big highlight is when the last show I did on WECB, the Emerson Radio, I had my homie Clark D on, shout out Clark D, and he brought a ton of people, a ton of big artists who are big now. They came to the studio and we chopped it up for like an hour afterwards, and I kind of was like, all right, like it was really affirming to me of like, these are people who I grew up fucking with, so now they're kind of in my domain, they're in like kind of that, and I'm kind of offering them. So that was definitely a highlight, and I also introduced them to a few other people who I was working with at the time. So that was a big deal. And I think in terms of the management side with Adamir, I think I definitely, or the first adults only show that we did, I think was a big one, because he killed it. And like it kind of like it went, like I turned to my friend after and I was like, this is what we were talking about, like it was kind of like affirming to me of like, okay, this dude is like really, he's the best performer right now, and like I really see a future. Like this is kind of what we've been working towards this whole time, and like a bunch of people who I really care about were in the audience for that. So that was really important. That was definitely like one of the most rewarding moments in my career for sure. And I would say for anyone watching this, for some advice, if you're interested in managing, if you're interested in podcasting, because I always ask people on my show, what advice do you have? I would always I think just stay true to your vision. I think that's like really like the most important lesson, is just to stay true to your vision. Like if you think that like, oh, so and so like it's like they're not gonna like this, or like, oh, am I wrong for like caring about this specific thing? Like, nah, that's you. Like that, just stay true to your vision. I think that's like honestly the most important thing to do. And I think like if you like think that shit is cool, like it's cool. Like under not like, and like don't be like, I have to interview this person because this person is like clouded up and like they got like like business like obviously you gotta think business a lot of time, with promotion and all that stuff, but also it's just like you gotta just like people who you mess with, like have them out, like it's gotta be for you. Tyler the Creator, shout out Tyler the Creator, he really kind of he with his show and his music really kind of put me onto that mindset of like just making stuff for yourself, like make stuff for yourself. That's really the most important thing, and people will catch up. Like the real ones will understand that and catch on to it. And I think it's honestly not like I've been kind of calling it like acquired taste content, and it's really not. Like you don't have to make all your stuff super accessible. You don't have to make all your stuff. I do, like me and my homies talk about like like I have inside jokes. I end the show saying shout out Jimmy K Feds and the Squeak Squad. That's just some shit I made up, and I just think it's funny. It's just like an inside joke. And if you listen to every single podcast episode, I say it at the end just because it's like funny. I make everything for yourself and like stick to your vision. I think that's just the most important thing. It's just affirming in yourself. So that's the big advice that I would say. And yeah. Thank you, Eazy. It's been an honor to be interviewed by you. I look fire as always, and yeah, stay true. I can't wait for you to drop the next episode, and I can't wait for this new Adamir album. It's gonna be sick, and I can't wait for all the shit that you're doing in the future. So, stay cool, Eazy. I'm gonna see you soon.